What's going on, designers and decorators? It's Timothy. I hope you all have been fantastic lately. I've been super busy with a ton of ventures, my hands in different things, but I finally made time to make this episode because I've gotten so many requests to do this particular episode, which is how to start your design business. There is so much that can go into this. Trust me, there's only just so much I can say within this time frame, but what I can assure you is that there is a resource on the website for you guys if you want to purchase it. It is on sale right now for $99. It is a huge guide, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But here's some, I would say, some advice on how to at least get to the first stages of designing your design business. Because really, you are designing your design business. There's so many aspects that go into it where it's strategic. It's understanding a lot of factors that go into it. And I actually have never opened a business with a business plan or target market or anything like that. And some don't. Some just naturally have that ability to get clients, and some really need that extra kind of push to grow their business on the more kind of structured level. So the first and foremost thing that I would say to start your design firm is really determining what services you're going to offer, because there are so many things you could do. Do you want to just focus on mood boards, which would be e-design? Do you want to specialize in 3D renderings? Or do you want to be a full-on design build firm? I mean, and even more so, going deeper into that, like if you were to do a design build firm, it goes even deeper into understanding what that even entails. It's not just, facilitating, what tile is going to go on the wall or what cabinetry color, or it's deep into millwork and understanding porcelain versus ceramic tile on a backsplash. And are you going to go with hardwood floor, or there's so many things that go into that you have to understand. And if you don't understand that, you really shouldn't focus on that. You should start low, or little, I should say, and then work your way up into a design build. So maybe you specialize in just helping your clients select those materials by introducing them to resources that they would not have understood or been able to do before. And one of those resources is like a trade-only design showroom where only designers can shop there, and they get steep discounts. And you could bring your clients in there and shop, for tile and flooring and fabrics and so on and so forth. So then there is other categories to that too. Like, do you want to just, help clients choose color, or do you just want to do furniture, or do you just want to do kitchen and bath? So once you really decide what services you're going to offer, then you're going to focus on the style and specialty. So what is your design style? Are you more contemporary, modern, or are you really traditional, or are you eclectic? And you try to hone in on what you feel most comfortable designing, because at the end of the day, you're really designing for your clients, right? And you do need to understand how to design, a variety of different styles. You can't have a client to say, oh, I'm going to hire you and I want you to do, my country house, but you're only going to be designing modern. It doesn't make sense. So that kind of goes into our next thing of, should you become a niche designer? And I've always been told yes. I completely disagree with that, because I've said this time and time again that as a designer, you're designing for your clients, right? This is their home. It's not your home. And while there are factors that go into what kind of style that client or should be doing, for example, if they have a modern home, you're not going to be designing it as a traditional interior design, especially if it's in an area where it doesn't make sense to make the interior traditional and the home itself is a modern house, or architecture is modern. And so when you have clients that come to you and say, hey, I want you to design my house because I like your style of your existing portfolio. And they come and say they want, a contemporary kitchen, but you only design, let's say, ultra modern kitchens. That's why it's bad to niche, because you're kind of limiting yourself on your target audience. You're kind of saying, hey, if there's, 50,000 people in my city looking for interior design, and I only specialize in ultra modern, what percentage of those 50,000 people are actually going to want modern, especially if you don't live in a modern, ultra modern area? So you have to really understand the area that you live in should determine what styles you focus on. But you should be able to, as a designer, to design mid-century modern, rustic, traditional, whatever the client wants, because it's their home, right? So we go from there to choosing a catchy business name and registering it. So once you understand, what services you're going to offer and what kind of style, and if it's not going to niche, then understanding, what you want to have more of a focus on, then you can get into kind of like the business oriented part of your business. And that's thinking of a name. I actually struggled for a long time thinking of the name, because a name really should be something that is catchy. It should be something that's memorable. And I've never really been a fan of design firms that name the design firm after themselves, because when you kind of do that, you're kind of saying that, oh, it's, Timothy Morenzi design. It's not the client's design, it's that designer's design. And a lot of clients I've seen in the past, because when I first started, that's what it was, Timothy Morenzi design. And I had such backlash from it, because I kept getting questions like, so this is Timothy Morenzi design, so we hire you and you design, and whatever you design we have to go with, like we have no options. So it gives a negative kind of thought about what the client's actually going to pay for. Are they paying for you to come in and design that's only going to be your design and they have to deal with it, or like hate it or love it? Or is it something where you're a designer and you go in there and you design it based on what the client needs? It should be that, but most times it's not. Like, for example, if you look at Jeff Lewis, you hire Jeff Lewis because Jeff Lewis is Jeff Lewis, and whatever he designs is what typically his clients like. And while that's a good thing, because you get, a following, you get a clientele. When you're starting off, you really shouldn't do that, because it's going to limit you. And limitations are going to obviously limit your success. So once you think of a name, or when you're trying to make a name, don't make it too complicated or long. Choose words that are hard to pronounce, don't choose words that are hard to pronounce, because people won't understand it. You can include your name if you want to. I advise against it just because of what I just discussed, but use words that have to do with interior design, like Jason Picklesworth Interiors, or Jason Picklesworth Spaces, or Jason Picklesworth Design. If you do have to use a name, or even not using your own name, it's like, Dollar Bill Design, or stuff like that. So make sure your name has what you're doing in it, because there's many times where like even my firm doesn't say interiors or spaces. It's studio blank. And because of the fact that we don't just do interior design. We do a lot of architecture. We do a lot of spatial planning. We do a lot of stuff that doesn't encompass interior design. And interior design really is a very broad term, but we barely even touch furniture. So you have to be careful on what you're actually naming your business, and just to make sure that you have that word there to determine what you are doing, so your clients understand that. And also, of course, more importantly, make sure no one else is using that same name. And if they are, then you have to go back to the drawing board. So once you have chosen your business name, then you should register it with your state. Go to LegalZoom, and that's the easiest way to go. LegalZoom has been, every single business I've owned has been through LegalZoom, and it's super, super easy, and it takes like 10 minutes of your time. It's kind of fantastic. So from there, go into building a website and making sure that the website is, this is a no-brainer. So you're a designer, you create beautiful spaces, so you need to reflect that online, right? So register a domain name, and I would base it on your business name. So if you're Joe Schmo Interior Design, it should be joeschmointeriordesign.com or something to that extent. It doesn't necessarily have to do that. I've seen companies where it's a long name, like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious interiors, but the website is scpdf.com, because it shortens that. And so that way people don't have to worry about, spelling out your business name or spelling it wrong and potentially going to the wrong interior design website. So once you, talk about or think about doing a website, there's various resources out there. Number one, I will say this, and I think I've actually said it in one of my other episodes, where don't use Wix. If you do, you pay for the removal of the branding. And here's the reason why. If you go to a website and it's a professional company and it's like blah, 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 .wix.com, it's not professional. You look stupid. I'm just going to come out there and say it. Or if it's like an extension of some other hosting provider. The other thing too is the branding of Wix. Like going to a professional website and then seeing the Wix branding at the bottom of it, like proudly made with Wix. You know, your designer and your work, even your website, should reflect your quality of your design. And you wouldn't go and do amazing things for clients, but then not do amazing things for yourself. And your self-reflection is going to be a reflection of your work. I've seen some really horrible websites, and I'm pretty sure that those designers are actually losing out on a lot of clients because of that. It's 2019. There's no reason why you shouldn't have an amazing website, especially when there are resources out there to making them amazing without having to come up with thousands of dollars. For me, I have my own web designer, so I don't. If you can find your own web designer that you can maybe cut a deal with, that would probably be ideal for you versus trying to build it yourself. Anyway, next, building your portfolio. So after you get a website, you got your business name, you registered it, build a portfolio now. And here's the trick to getting started on that. If you don't have a portfolio, you should stage your own house. I'm serious. If you don't have a portfolio and you don't have clients, what other alternative is there? And so what I actually did when I first started was I spent a ton of money staging my own apartment. And my bedroom, I think I had purchased furniture, put it all together, then returned the furniture, purchased different furniture. So I think I had like 4 projects, quote unquote, on there. And even though they looked like they're similar rooms, that still provides a benefit to your clients to understanding how you design. And I was very upfront with clients when they called me like, hey, I'm a newer designer. The benefit of hiring a newer designer is I'm still great at designing. I'm still designing for you. It's just going to be at a lower cost because I am getting started. So you pitch it as that. You never say, oh, I'm new, and make it like a negative. You make it a positive. Why would someone hire someone that's new in design? Well, because it's cheaper. I mean, at the end of the day, if you do great design, if you time and time again get good feedback, and if you have a client calling you because they saw your designs online, they fucking want you. So you turn that negative of being a new designer into a positive. Anyway, moving forward, build your portfolio, use your own house if you have to, use your friend's house if you have to, use your fucking neighbor's house if you have to. Find a way to get a portfolio and make it. I think I also, there was one time where there was a mom and pop furniture store down the road, and I asked him if I could kind of structure one of their like bedroom setups, and I did that too. Next, set your rate. Now, as a new designer, you really should not be setting your rate at $150 an hour. That's kind of ridiculous. So make sure that when you're ready to set your rate, you're going to have to do some homework and really figure out. What I did is I did some competitor shopping. So I used thumbtack.com, and I set a fake project to get bids from local designers. Shady, yes, maybe because those designers have to pay for or pay for your bid, but it's really important. It's extremely important to understand your competition. You can't just call a designer and say, hey, I'm a local designer, how much do you charge? Well, you can call them, but you'd have to act as a client, and then they would have to come out to your house and blah, blah, blah. Preventing that, just fill out like an online form through Thumbtack or Bark or something, and get bids from local designers on the same kind of service that you get, so that way you can kind of competitively price yourself. You don't want to overprice or underprice yourself, that's for sure. Then once you have your rate, you obviously have to talk to a lawyer to get your contract up and ready, all that. So in the designer toolkit that I have on the store, it goes through my own contract. So if you purchase the designer toolkit on the website, it's going to go through a lot of stuff like marketing, thinking of a business name, tools, blog topics. I think there's 1,000 blog topics on there. There's a shit ton of stuff for you guys to start your design business. And one of those parts is like actually a huge part of it is the contract, and I dig deep into my design contract. So you can take information from there and obviously tweak it based on your state if your state doesn't have or has certain rules for your industry. whatever the case is. But I'd still get a lawyer involved just because obviously having a lawyer behind your back will make your contract that much better. After you have a contract, after you set your rate, then you're going to promote the hell out of your business. Now, what I did is anytime I went out to eat, I left a business card. Anytime I went somewhere, I left a business card. I just dropped it. I dropped business cards in a fucking grocery store. And yes, I got a client out of that. I literally dropped business cards everywhere I went. Be active on social media, Instagram. Use paid ads, but don't blow your budget by doing it. Use Facebook. Ask your friends and family to spread the word, answer trade shows and network with other designers, join associations like NKBA, NARI, ASID, IIDA. Like all of those are going to help you get more clients. And then we're going to go to start a blog. So this would help with your online SEO and getting online clients. But caution, online clients are the clients that are tire kickers that have low budgets. Be cautious of that because that's where I fucked up with clients, and I had a lot of projects that were horrible projects because of the expectations that were set by the client by going online really. Thinking that they can hire a designer for a kitchen and pay, $3,000 for their kitchen renovation, but then the designer says, no, it's going to be like $30,000. So starting a blog is huge. Make it interesting. It's SEO optimized. Make sure that is all there and do it consistently. Maybe start with one blog a month or two a month or whatever the case is to get you started so you're not overwhelmed with it. And then just provide value online for what you do. And don't be afraid to provide free advice. Everyone is so hung up on, I want money for, the advice, the advice that I give, and I want money for this and I want money for that. Stop it. Like, this world is so filled with fucking I want money, and it's driven by that. I get that you have to pay bills, but at the end of the day, if you provide free content in addition to paid content, you'll be more admirable from that client and you'll get more clients because of it. Two more things I have in mind. Have a dedicated workspace. Try not to work from home, but if you really have to, then you could. Just make sure that your workspace at home is far from your common area. And the reason why is because then you don't have to work with stress. You don't have to bring work at home. Work literally isn't at home. And if it does have to be at home, just make sure it's in a separate space where you could leave it behind the door. I've had issues with this with myself. I got super stressed. I was answering phone calls from clients at like midnight. I was answering text messages at 3:00 in the fucking morning. Find a dedicated workspace. And if you want, find a co-working space local that you could pay a monthly fee for. This way you can go there. You can just have your space and you can fucking leave and not have to worry about it. Last but not least, build relationships with suppliers and contractors. One of the smartest things you could do when you start your design business is to build good relationships with suppliers, contractors, local mom and pop stores. You want to have connections with reliable people who could deliver exactly what you ask for on time every single time. This is not only a strategic move, but it's also a good move for networking because the more you scratch their back, the more they scratch yours, right? So, let's say you connect with a contractor, ask him to take him to lunch or her to lunch. Bring them to, fucking McDonald's. I don't give a shit. It's just the gesture. Bring them to lunch. Have a conversation with them, tell them what you want to do. You want to partner with them, right? For every project you get, maybe you make sure that they bid on it. Maybe you give them a fair game on it. And you do that for 5 contractors even. Who gives a shit? Just as long as they don't know that. Then once you start building relationships with these contractors, then they're going to start coming to you. Hey, Tiffany, I have a project over in Corona. And, I'm not really a designer as a contractor. And I told my clients that, I work with a designer. So, there. You scratch their back, they scratch yours. At the end of the day, just make sure that everything you do in your business is ethical. Make sure that you love what you do. Make sure there's a passion for it. Go on the website, look up the complete interior designer toolkit. Trust me, it is jam-packed with so much shit for you to start your business. I know it's $100. It's an investment, obviously, but think about it as you're investing in your future. The content in there, it's I think well over 150 pages. Goes through, like I said, marketing, branding, social media. It goes through contracts. It goes through choosing a name. You name it, it's in there. Thanks so much for listening, peeps. If you please don't mind, write a review. You don't even need to write one. Just click that star icon, whether it's 1 star, 5 star. I don't give a shit. It just helps me out. And if you don't like what you hear, then don't listen. Go fucking listen to some other designer that just interviews people. In any case, thanks again for listening. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. As always, I love you all. Namaste.